All right, my name is Dr. Kettering, and what we're going to show you today is the Gems of Excellence, and this is an introductory class. This class is actually part of what's called Integrated Health Systems. And Integrated Health Systems comprises a lot of different works. One of the works is, of course, called Geotran, and Geotran is a language. And it's a language which speaks to the information fields or the energy fields in and around the body. And it's a way we really create a lot of change. So a little bit about myself and how I got started with this work. I've been doing this work for 18 years. And I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing chiropractic. This is my 20th year of chiropractic. And it's a very nice adjunct to chiropractic and to anything else that you do. So I know that you're going to embrace these tools and really love these tools. And this work really originated with Dorothy Espio. And Dorothy Espio is a woman who now lives in Sedona, Arizona. And 20 years ago, or not 20 years ago, I should say probably about 30 years ago, she was very, very ill. And during that time, she was studying a lot of different work. She was studying Touch for Health with, in those days, Dr. John Thie and Dr. Dennison's work, which has to do with educational kinesiology. And she was very, very ill. She had cancer. And she was so ill during those years that she really had to live in what she called her clean room. And a clean room was, she was allergic to everything in her environment. So in her clean room, she had a bed, an oxygen tank, and a desk. And that's how ill she was. She had cancer, and things weren't working too well for her, to say the least. And through that work, what she had to do a lot of times during those early years, about 30 years ago, she had to spend 18, 19 hours a day in prayer just to stay alive, just to survive. And when you spend that much time in prayer a day, you really start to see things a little bit differently. So what she started to hear is a digital language, and that's what we're going to share with you today. She started to hear digitally, 2-3, 5-3, 6-5. And the work started coming. So through this work, she was able to get herself well. She healed herself of her cancer. She healed herself of all of her environmental allergies that she had at that point during this work. And so she's alive today, and that was 30 years ago. She teaches internationally and is just continually thriving, developing new work continually all the time. So that's a little bit about how she got into it. As far as myself, I took my first class, like I said, about 18 years ago. And started seeing a lot of profound changes in my life, in my wife's life, and in different things. So there's a process called an integration. Integration is where you make something a part of you. And so it's very good as far as changing things. This work is not like any other work. It's a different place, and we're working on different things. So we're working on, of course, the energy fields. We're not working so much on meridians. However, energy fields change meridians. So as we get in there and start working with this, we're going to show you, it's a hierarchy level. And of course, you have your nervous system of your body. We'll explain how that works. Your meridian system influences and changes your nervous system. And then, of course, the energy field influences all these others. So we'll show you where this place is. People go, well, it's just like that or just like this. No, it's completely different and distinct. So it's just another tool, completely separate tool than what you already have in your toolbox. And it's really not like anything else, and which gives it a really nice, unique place. What this work is, I want to explain to you how this is different and really what it is that we're doing with this program. Okay, this work, once again, this is a language, and this is a digital numeric language. And numbers are, there's a lot of precedence for numbers being a language. Carl Jung, the esteemed psychologist and contemporary of Sigmund Freud, he said, numbers are used by the unconscious mind to create order. Okay, so we already know that numbers are a language. Plato, the philosopher, he said, if you're going to describe anything in this universe, he says the way to describe it is through numbers. It is a very specific, exact language. John von Neumann of the Atomic Energy Commission, and he was a part of the Yale University called the Silliman Lecture Series, which is a very prestigious lecture series that Yale University has. Again, he was on the Atomic Energy Commission. John von Neumann, what he says is, he says that mathematics is a language truly used by the central nervous system. So there's lots and lots of precedents for numbers being a language. We also know that our bodies and our nervous systems uses a digital language. Every time there is a sensation, a neural sensation, it sends information up to our brain and it fires neural impulses on, off, on, off. And the rapid and the speed at which it fires is depending on the type of information that it's receiving. So even our bodies use a digital numeric language. Past that, there's even a greater precedence on numbers being a language. We have computers. Okay, and who's heard of computers? And there's something called a binary code. And with a binary code, it is a on-off. So there's only two numbers that are used, zeros and ones. And it's on-off, on, off, and every program that's written is through a binary code, on, off. There is many other different types of language. There's something called theomatics, and it's a whole study of numbers and how numbers relate to different things scripturally. So it's called theomatics. The system of, I'm thinking of the Jewish system, everyone knows about the numbers, what's it called? Kabbalah, thank you. It's like Kabbalah. Kabbalah is another whole system with numbers. So numbers are a language. We know that in the human body, and this research that I'm telling you right now, this all came about after Dorothy, way back about 30 years, started coming out with this digital numeric language. So this is all the research that came out since then. So back in the 80s, this was kind of, well, what is this digital language? It's something that she heard, or something that she knew. So all the research now supports what it is that we now know is a language. Computers really were not even on a very big thing. And really what we are a digital being. So what we are is we are digital, and she said this way back in before there was something called a CD. Everyone said, no, it's left brain, right brain. When I talk about how the brain works, it's left brain, right brain, Dullman and Delcado's work. And really what she just said, no, information is stored on rings. And she said they're read by light, and that was before the CD was developed. So that is a ring, and it's read by what? It's read by light. The information that we have also is on rings, and it's read by light. So we have 12 brain rings. So it's not just left brain, right brain. We have 12 brain rings, and these brain rings are energetic, and they're off of our chest. They're in our energetic fields, and they're read by light. So really a lot of times what happens is a lot of things that people are living in their lives are they're just reading the information, the glitched information in many cases that's on their rings, and they keep reproducing that information in their lives. Whether it has to do with finances, whether it has to do with relationships, whether it has to do with our health, we just continue to read these rings. And a lot of times the information on the rings is programmed a lot of different ways. It's programmed, of course, through what we've experienced in this lifetime, everything that we've been told, information that we receive, because our nervous system is continually receiving information, and it's continually programming us. In fact, if we were aware of all the information that we're receiving at any one moment, it's just a complete overload. Right now, my body's receiving information about what's going on in my heart and my brain. My body's making adjustments in the temperature and sweat glands and the heart and respiration. I'm digesting my breakfast that I ate this morning, as well as I feel pressure and the heat and even the pressure from my socks and my clothes. If I was aware of all the information that I'm processing all the time, it would be an overload. However, our brain, and there's the part of us that's just continually storing that information, and it's stored in our information energy fields of our body. So what the nice thing is about energy fields is that we're able to reprogram these energy fields. So a lot of times it's information that we've received directly in our lifetime, and also genetic. So we have genetic information that's passed down generation to generation, and a lot of times what happens is we think we're a product of whatever that information is, but that once again, the nice news is that we can change and reprogram these information fields or these energetic fields, and that's what we're going to show you how to do today, completely different. So I'm going to show you how this works and what this does. On one level, we know that it's a language, and that's pretty much what it is. I love when we show this work to a lot of people who use this work are in different health fields. Veterinarians use it, chiropractors use it, people who just want to improve their lives use it. There is no belief system with this work. So it works whether you believe it or not. So one of the best holistic vets in the country, a good friend of mine, has a room in her clinic that she works with the animals. She has someone in her clinic work with animals using this work, because animals respond to it very, very nicely as well. Because you're changing the field, you're changing information. So there's no belief system with this. And since it is a language, and it is a digital language, if I was to speak Russian up here, no one would understand Russian unless you understand that language. If I would speak Chinese, you'd say, what are you speaking? This is gibberish. Same thing here. This is a digital language, not to be understood with your brain, but your information fields, the energy fields understand this language. So that's pretty much what the precedence is for this work. So what is different with this work is this. If you look at a human body, what you are is you are a physical body, and you are made out of a conglomeration of organs. Those organs are made out of a conglomeration of cells. Those cells are made out of molecules. Those molecules are made out of atoms. Those atoms are made out of subatomic particles. Those subatomic particles are made out of quarks, leptons. It goes on. And pretty much what physics tells us now is that everything that exists is made out of field. Okay, so what do I mean by field? Field is the substance of things hoped for. There is no indivisible building block. It is field. Albert Einstein said the field starts it all. Okay, so he understood field very well. So field is this, quantum physics understands field, and what it means is this. If you change the field, you will change everything above it. So really the level that we're working on is the field. What is different about this work is that we're working on the level of the field. It is a language that speaks directly to the information fields, or fields that create the information. So here's the word information, information. This is called the morphogenetic fields, which Rupert Sheldrake spoke about in his books, Presence of the Past. So it's the morphogenetic fields. These are the fields that bring things into being. And as you change the field, you will change everything beyond that. You will change the meridian system. You will change the nervous system. You can change things, people, places, and things, really, when you get in there and start to do this work. So how do we do it? It is a language. We're speaking to the information fields. And the thing about these fields is that they do become programmed, and again, you can change the programming on these fields. And we're going to show you how to get in there and start to do that very, very simply and very, very rapidly. So with this system, what there are, like a computer uses just zeros and ones. There's 12 numbers that we use for the human biocomputer. So we refer to this a lot as the human biocomputer. And actually, we were the original. Back in the 50s and 60s, they wanted to know, well, how can we make a computer? They look to the human body. So a computer really is a small replica of what we are, and they are awesome, and yet they're a fraction of awesome, really is what we are. They're never going to be more awesome than what created them. Okay, we created the computer. It cannot be more awesome than what got created by. They do have a lot of power, and they can do a lot of amazing things, and yet the human potential to be able to get in there and create. So the computer really is a small replica of how the human body, how the brain, how the information fields work. If you look at a computer, for example, a lot of times people will look at the computer and they'll see the computer, and they will, the computer is just hardware, and it's the software where the information is stored. Same thing with the human body and the human brain. So the information is actually not stored in your brain, and there's lots of research for that. We're not going to bore you with all the research. We'll give you a couple little clues. But the information is not stored on your brain. Your brain is hardware, and it's the information in the energy fields that play through your computer or through your brain. You understand? Just like with a computer. So with a computer, with your PC, it's the information that's stored in there. The hardware is just your computer. Same thing with your brain. Your brain is just hardware. The information plays through it. And the information that plays through your brain for what your life's going to be and what your potential is really stored in the field. Okay? Just like a radio receiver. If you have a radio receiver and you're playing music through the receiver, the band is not in the receiver, is it? It plays through it. Same thing here. So the information plays through it. Very similar here. You know, they've done a lot of research with brains, right brain, left brain, once again, as I said, and it is not just right brain, left brain. They've taken the brain and they've actually bisected it, dissected it. They look for where consciousness comes from. They look for where the speech centers come from, and guess what they say? It's not in your brain. It exists apart from your brain. A lot of Nobel Prize researchers have done research. Dr. Carl Pribram, and what he has done, he says that memory is holographic. It's in every cell of your body. Okay, Dr. Ida Roth, who's the person who developed Rothing, she says, and once again, memory's in the body, it's in the cells, but it's even past that, it's in the morphogenetic field. It is on the very field level of the body. They've had children with brains that were 90% filled with fluid, hydrocephaly, and what they found with those children is that they had IQs as high as 120, which is impossible because 90% of their brain was filled with fluid, as high as 120. So there's more than just right brain, left brain. And this is a great program to re-educate brain and brain function, because the biggest thing with health and healthcare, it all comes from your brain, and 90% of your nervous system comes from what? It's from that brain. So this is brain re-education 101. This is going to show you how to get in there and re-educate that brain, to clear those patterns and to make changes on those patterns so you can truly achieve what your full potential and really what it is that your potential is to achieve. You know, the other thing about brain function, and I do a lot of work with children and brain function, helping people achieve their potential. The thing about brain function is this. What they say is that we use about 10% of our brains. Does it make sense that God gave us 100% brain for us to only use 10% of our brain? That's like saying God gave you 10 fingers, but you're only supposed to use one of them. It doesn't make sense. So really what you can do with this work is really switch that whole brain on for you to be able to reach your potential of what it is that your brain and your potential really is, and to be able to use and maximize that potential. And that's been my experience with it. So it switches on your genius of really what it is that you know, so you can start operating in that. So today we're going to show you some simple exercises to get in there and start to clear the energy fields to switch on brain function. We're going to show you the mind gems, which are 12 exercises that are going to be able to get both hemispheres of the brain working to clear a lot of patterns. We're going to show you positive points. Positive points are going to very specifically show you how to de-stress anything in just moments. We're going to show you a code for being able to choosing to succeed, to clear sabotage tapes. We're going to show you a code to be able to switch on the muscles of your body in just a few seconds. And a lot of other tools in here. And this is once again an introductory level class.